Hello everyone. Um, Welcome. I'm going to show you a video about the difference between sRGB and Adobe RGB and how it does matter and it doesn't just stop there. And the reason why I'm making this video is because recently I saw a video on YouTube um, about some photographers. I'm not going to name names, but this guy basically came on and started saying that it doesn't matter whether you shoot sRGB or Adobe RGB, or you shouldn't shoot Adobe. You should only shoot sRGB because everybody on the web is it's basically using sRGB, and basically your photo lab is using sRGB most of the time. And I think it's just plain ignorant. And I think whether I don't know if he's doing it, he doesn't know, or maybe he's just saying just to kind of calm everybody down. But I think it's just ignorant, and I think I'm gonna make this video just to kind of show you the difference and why it does matter, and go a little bit beyond just between one and another. So this program that I have right here is called ColorThink Pro, and it's gonna show you the difference between sRGB and Adobe RGB. And as you can see, I'm gonna make sRGB solid and Adobe RGB the wireframe. And as you can tell, the difference right here of all the colors that you're missing out. Let's think about just, you're like, why does it matter? Just analogy that Eric Joseph from Freestyle said. Just imagine about having a box of crayons with 10 colors and a box of crayons with 100 colors. If you try to paint a picture, you're gonna have a lot more colors to paint to get the details exactly, the right colors and everything. You give that to a painter, it's gonna go all out. Yeah, you can make the same picture and almost get it similar, but if you have more crayons, you have more colors, more range between one another. And this is basically what it is. You got more crayons to work with right here. Look at all that. Look how much color is missing from one to another. It's just incredible. Look at all those reds that is missing, parts of the blue, a lot of the greens on the dark greens and everything. Luminance on the bright points, it's pretty much about the same, but just look at the difference. It's just incredible. So does it matter? Yes, of course it matters. Look at all these colors. If you're shooting Adobe RGB, look how many colors more you're gonna be shooting on your image. If your image lands within this range right here on the window fireframe, look how many colors more you're getting. If you're shooting sRGB, it's gonna cut it just right here. You can have way more range on your colors. But that being said, what are you shooting for? Why does it matter to you? Okay, let's go there. Are you showing your work only for the web and web only? Don't even worry about Adobe RGB. You can stop watching this video. You can just start shooting sRGB and that's it. But if you're gonna be shooting to print your work, you want to see it on a gallery, maybe print it. You want other people to see it, other photographers, professionals. Of course it matters. You only want to shoot Adobe RGB. You want to have those extra range, extra colors, extra black points and luminance and blah blah blah. You want to have it. That being said, you want to definitely compare it to what your image is giving you. So I'm gonna click on this image right here that I have, Charlotte. You see all those white little dots? That is my image right here, all those colors. And you want to make sure that the color profile that you're using is actually covering the colors on your image. So in this case, all of my image lands within inside of the Adobe RGB profile. But you're saying, well, what about sRGB? Let's go take a look. It's going a little bit slow, but I apologize. But as you can see, none of the colors, almost nothing lands outside. Just a couple of up here on the top. Let's turn it into a wireframe so you can see. Even sRGB covers all my colors on this image. Okay, this image. So yeah, this image that I shot is within sRGB, and if most of the images are within this color range, then just shoot sRGB. But if you have an image that is going to land outside of the sRGB, it's going to clip all those colors, it's going to shift them, and it's going to change the colors of your image. Now, Let's look at another image. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna turn this one, number 2. It doesn't matter the name. Just I name them 1, 2, 3 depending. You see the difference between one image and another? This image has a lot darker reds. It still lands within the sRGB profile, so it doesn't matter, you know? It doesn't really matter. You can print sRGB with the colors within sRGB with your photo lab, but it doesn't matter. And all this image will be printed probably right, correctly. Unless you care about the type of paper that you're using. If you just care, oh, it's everything is on glossy, then most of the time it doesn't really matter. If you don't care, it doesn't matter. But if you do care, if you're getting your clients the best image possible, if you want them to have your image at its fullest with the rich colors and everything, then it matters. So you definitely want to skip sRGB and always use Adobe RGB, because if you do care, then make sure your client is getting the right colors. Yet you definitely want to do some Adobe RGB. Now we're gonna move into the other part. You gotta make sure that your photo lab is actually printed on the correct paper for your image. Not all the images that you have are gonna be printed exactly the same on the same paper. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to print and you only print on Hanamiu Photo Pearl because you just love the way it looks on that type of paper. Let's look at the color profile for that paper. And as you can see on this image, I'm losing a couple of colors actually on the darks. You see all those darks right here? You're gonna lose detail when you print it on that paper for those colors. So maybe it's okay. Maybe you don't care and you want to print on this paper, doesn't matter, you know? So alright, but what if you're using a luster for the luster? Again, you're still losing some dark colors on the reds and very dark. You're gonna be losing detail on the shadows right here in the bottom. Luminous, you're gonna be losing on this paper a lot of bright points and dark. What about Hanamiu Photo Glossy? Again, it's almost the same. This paper, you're gonna be losing some of the details on the darks and on the bright points. So maybe you're saying to yourself, I don't want to lose nothing. I don't want to lose no colors from my image. Maybe Hanamiu photo paper is not for me. What about a Canon Photo Pearl, right? Look at that. You're even losing maybe even more colors on the Canon paper. Maybe you're saying, man, their color profiles for that paper, I don't want to lose nothing. I still do not want to lose that type, those colors on my image. What about a Canon Finite, a Velvet? Let's see. Wow, look at that. Look how many colors you're not printing on this paper. Look at that difference. Let's throw it on wireframe to maybe see a little bit more. Look how many colors you're losing if you print on this paper. You think your image is gonna look fine whether you're using sRGB or Adobe RGB? No. But you gotta make sure that your image is printed correctly too. And this is why the color profiles and Adobe RGB matters too, because not only one matters, but the end result also matters. So you definitely tell yourself, I'm not gonna use the enhanced velvet for this image. What about a different type of paper, the photo rack paper, the Canon photo rack? No, hell no. I'm losing all those colors. Like, it's just unbelievable. What about the premium glossy Canon? Let's take a look. You're telling yourself, yeah, look at that. The Canon photo glossy paper covers most of them. And if I'm printing glossy, you might want to say, yeah, you know what? The glossy paper, the Canon glossy, will cover all the colors on my image. So this is what you need to keep an eye to. It doesn't matter just about sRGB versus Adobe, but you also want to matter. It matters if you're using a different type of paper that you're using. But if you're saying, you know what, my type of image and my type of paper uses a handmade paper because I love the way it looks. I want that feeling to the way it feels, the way it looks, the feeling that it comes in. Let's say I'm using a Japanese handmade paper, but you're saying, oh my God, look at that. How many colors am I losing with the Japanese handmade paper? And you're like, oh, maybe not. Maybe this Japanese handmade paper is not for me. I love the way it looks, but I'm losing all this detail. It's gonna be shifting and it might even look terrible. But it doesn't really matter because you just want to convey a type of feeling on that paper. It's fine art. It doesn't matter if the color shift. I just love the way it looks. But if you're looking for the color correct paper for your image, then you're gonna consider the right paper. You're gonna inform yourself on the type of profile that paper has and if it's gonna cover it. Again, different images are gonna have different type of colors, and you gotta make sure that the paper that you're using at the end really matters. This image, if we go through all of them right now, through all of the type of papers and the color profiles, it maybe is gonna change. You're gonna say, oh yeah, that type of paper, which before it didn't cover nothing or what looked really terrible, now actually looks pretty good. You know, you're saying that's acceptable. That kind of loss is acceptable. You know, and you're gonna choose your battles, pick and choose your battles. But I will definitely recommend, if you're gonna see your work printed, always work with Adobe RGB. You go to a lab that'll work with you to make sure that they're using the right paper for your image, and you tell them, I want to use this type of paper, and make sure you use their profiles because I already know that my image is gonna cover and I'm gonna get the best out of my image. So please, so when you hear somebody say, oh, it doesn't really matter, of course it matters. And then tell them to take some classes, man. Joseph, again, from Freestyle, does some free classes at Freestyle in LA, and he'll show you hundreds of different types of paper. Don't ask him what's the best paper because he'll tell you you're stupid. You don't. He make you clear. He won't make you. He's not gonna tell you that's stupid, but he'll tell you straight out that's just the wrong answer. That's just the wrong question. Because there's no best paper. It's just a different paper for different image depending what it is. One image will look great on one paper. When you bring another image on the same paper, it'll look terrible. And this is the reason why. Because that image has different colors that paper does not cover, and that's why it looks terrible. Again, Eric Joseph Freestyle, look him up on Facebook. You see his images, and he'll tell you, he's a photographer too, and he does most of his street photography. He doesn't have a website. He never shows his work online because he shoots his photographs to be printed, not to be shown on the web. Because again, I don't know how many, I don't want to say a percentage, I'm just throwing stupid numbers, but the majority of people do not have a color calibrated monitor, do not have a nice professional printer that will print the images correctly. So what you see on the computer and what you see printed, it's a completely different story. It doesn't even come close. You have to see your work printed on the same image on 10 papers, so you can see the difference, that you'll say, oh, my image looks better on that paper. You can see 5 different type of matte paper from different companies, and you're gonna see that your image on one company will look better. But maybe on the next shoot, you're gonna say, man, it looks terrible, what happened? It's because your image has different colors, and maybe that paper doesn't cover those colors. So everything matters. Inform yourself, take some classes, have your work printed on different papers, so you can see that your image will look even better on one paper than another. And the next time you print another image, then you go through the same process. And hopefully you inform yourself, you start asking questions. Don't take my word for it until you see your work printed. Once you see your work printed, then that's when you can tell, my God, I should have gone on metallic prints, because metallic prints just have my work pop. Or I should have went with matte or with texture paper, because I shoot a lot of things that have texture, like the walls, you know, like a brick building. If you shoot on texture paper, you feel like the paper, you can almost feel the texture on the brick. If you feel nice and smooth surfaces, then glossy or luster. Or again, you have to see your work printed. So don't go by, oh, this is the best because it covers all the colors. Okay, it covers all the colors, but the paper doesn't cover all the colors, so why does it matter? So this is why you need to educate yourself. So hopefully you find this video educational. Maybe not too much educational, but it'll inform you. It'll make you want to go out there and inform yourself from professionals who know what they're doing, that this is all they do. They do paper, color corrected monitors, color corrected printers with the right profiles, and they'll bring your image and print your image on 5 different papers, and that'll help you make the best decision. If you like the video, hit like, leave your comments, whether they're good or bad. Just leave them out there, and I'll see you guys on the next one.